The first thing Mara felt was pressure. Not pain. Just a strange, deliberate weight pressing against her upper back, followed by something sharp, light, tapping through the fabric of her jacket. Tap, tap. Her hand flew to the sidearm at her belt before her brain even finished waking up. "Can't," she whispered sharply, muscles locking, heart hammering like an alarm siren. The jungle around the outpost was quiet. Too quiet. No warning calls, no motion sensors tripped, no alarms. And yet, something was on her. Mara rolled to the side, weapons snapping up in one smooth motion. Training overriding panic. "Move!" she shouted. What she saw made her freeze mid-breath. 3 small shapes tumbled off her back and landed in the dirt with soft, clumsy thumps. They were fluffy. Not metaphorically fluffy, actually fluffy. Each was about the size of a medium dog, covered in thick silver blue fur with oversized ears, stubby limbs, and enormous golden eyes that blinked up at her in confusion. Tiny claws, sharp but clearly not built for combat, curled inward as they squeaked in surprise. One let out a small hiccup-like chirp. Another sneezed. The third immediately waddled forward and pressed its face against her boot. Mara stared, her weapons slowly lowered. "What?" she breathed. "The hell?" Her translator implant kicked in a second later. "Warm. Safe. Soft." The words weren't spoken, they were impressions. Instinctive emotional pulses brushing against her thoughts like a sleepy wave. She swallowed hard. These weren't attackers. They were children. Alien children. And judging by the way all 3 were now attempting to climb back onto her legs, they were very, very tired. Vel 9 was listed in the Galactic archives as a Class 3 hazard world. Not because of predators, but because of parents. The native species, the Threxil, were massive quadrupeds standing nearly 3 meters tall at full maturity. Armored hides, curved horns, natural strength capable of cracking shuttle plating. Their young, however, were the soft-furred, heat-seeking, emotionally imprinted little bundles of chaos. Mara had read the briefing. She just hadn't expected to become a mattress. One cub managed to climb halfway up her torso before losing balance and flopping directly onto her chest. It let out a pleased trill and immediately curled up, face buried under her chin. Another squeezed against her side, tail flicking lazily. The third climbed onto her shoulder and draped itself across her neck like an oversized scarf. Mara stood there frozen, hands hovering uselessly in the air. "Command!" she whispered into her comm, voice tight. "We have a situation." Static crackled. Then Lieutenant Rose's confused voice replied, "Define situation, Mara." "I am currently being occupied," she said carefully, "by 3 Threxil cubs." Silence. "Say again." "They climbed on me," she added. "I think they're trying to sleep." As if on cue, all 3 cubs sighed simultaneously. The weight increased, her knees bent slightly. "Oh no," she muttered. Mara eased herself down slowly, careful not to disturb them. The ground was cool beneath her, damp with moss and alien soil. She leaned back against a tree trunk as the cubs rearranged themselves with expert efficiency. One curled into her lap, one pressed against her chest, and one wedged itself between her side and the tree. Their body heat was intense, far warmer than expected. The cold night air no longer touched her skin. Her implant translated more impressions. Safe place found. Large protector. Warm nest. Her throat tightened. She had faced raiders, pirates, and creatures that could dissolve bone. This was somehow harder. "Adult Threxil patrols are inbound," Command whispered urgently through the comm. "I can't," she whispered back. "If I move, I'll wake them." As if sensing her tension, the cub on her chest lifted its head, yawned widely, revealing tiny, blunt teeth, and gently pressed its forehead against her collarbone. "Don't leave," her breath hitched. "I'm not going anywhere," she murmured softly, surprising herself. The ground began to tremble. Heavy footfalls echoed through the trees. Leaves shook. Birds fled. Mara didn't move. She didn't raise her weapon. She didn't breathe. Massive silhouettes emerged from the darkness. 3 adult Threxil, towering and powerful, eyes glowing faintly in the night. Their attention locked onto her instantly. A low rumble vibrated through the air. Mara raised one hand slowly, palm open, while the other instinctively shielded the cubs. "I'm not a threat," she said quietly. "I swear." The largest adult stepped forward. Its gaze dropped, not to her face, but to the cubs. All three were fast asleep. Completely, utterly. One had even begun to snore. The rumble shifted. The translator hesitated, then spoke. "They chose you." Mara swallowed. "I didn't mean to." The adult Threxil lowered its massive head until it was level with hers. One enormous claw extended, not threatening but cautious. It gently touched the cub on her chest. The cub squeaked happily and burrowed deeper into Mara's jacket. The adult let out a sound that could only be described as a purr, deep and resonant. "You are warm. You stayed. You protected." Mara felt tears sting her eyes. By morning, the story had spread across the outpost. Human marine becomes Threxil nest. Diplomats watched in stunned silence as Mara sat calmly on a med pad while three cubs slept on her like living blankets. The adult Threxil stood guard nearby, relaxed, trusting. The lead xenologist whispered, "Do you realize what this means?" Mara smiled faintly, careful not to move. "They think I'm furniture?" "No," the xenologist said softly. "They think you're family." Later, the Galactic Council would revise humanity's profile. Not stronger, not deadlier, not more aggressive, but something else entirely. Humans possess an unclassified trait. Any species young can feel safe with them. As the cubs finally stirred and were gently lifted away by their parents, one paused. It toddled back, placed its head against Mara's knee. "Warm place remembered." Mara laughed quietly through her tears. "Anytime," she said. And for the first time since humanity reached the stars, the galaxy learned something new to fear and to trust. A human who stays. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.